Back to you for the next segment of Live from Paris, Andrea, and we'll be joining you again soon with more news.
Thank you, Catherine. It is time now for the France 24 debate, and tonight we'll be asking whether France is unfairly prosecuting Scientology. Defined not as a religion but a sect here in France, the Spiritual Association of the Church of Scientology Celebrity Center has found itself on the defensive in court again, this time with 7 members accused of fraud. Here's a look at the case.
Individual Scientologists have been in the dock in France before, but this is the first time the whole church has been put on trial, and several leading members were in court on Monday. One former member claims she was pressurised into spending thousands of euros on supposed treatments to help her mental well-being. The church denies any wrongdoing, and its various spokespeople were less than keen to speak to the assembled media.
I'm Eric Roux, representing members of the Spiritual Association of the Church of Scientology, the Celebrity Centre. That's all. Thank you. Please put your questions to my colleague.
The church's official spokeswoman also tried to avoid reporters' questions, but did eventually give this brief statement.
We've already been put on trial by media for several weeks now. Now we're in court without any real grounds. It's like a heresy trial.
But the prosecution team was unimpressed with the church's response to the case.
This
is what happened in previous Scientology trials in Lyon and Marseille. The Scientologists prefer not to have the claimants in court and listen to evidence of the suffering they've caused.
France already refuses to recognise Scientology as a religion, and if the court finds in favour of the claimants, the church could be banned there altogether.
So is Scientology being unfairly prosecuted, or should it be banned in France? Well, here now to discuss those questions and all the issues involved are to my left Jacques Millard, a Conservative member of French Parliament and a member of the Parliamentary Study Group on Sects. Here to my right, Jens Tingleff, an internet activist who's protested against Scientology. Joining us shortly via satellite from Hamburg, Germany, Ursula Gabretta, who is a head of the task force on Scientology of the Hamburg government. And joining us now on the phone from New Jersey, Rick Ross, executive director of the Ross Institute, which monitors religious cults and controversial movements. And finally, also on the phone from Marseille, France, Raphaël Liogier, who's professor of sociology at the Institute of Political Studies at Aix-en-Provence. Thanks all so much for joining us tonight. Let me begin in the studio then to my right. Jens, I suppose you think that the so-called Church of Scientology is getting what it deserves, that it really has defrauded too many people at this point.
Yes, it's all it is set up to do, to defraud people, to obtain money, to obtain effort, but first of all to obtain money, because it's required to do so. It is a religious belief of theirs that they must extract as much money as they possibly can, by any means.
You were never a member of
no.
the Church of Scientology. How do you know all this?
Many ex-members have come forward, and although the organisation, Scientology organisation, will say, oh, we settle with a lot of them, or a lot of them lose court cases, there are many ex-members who win court cases, and it is striking that in the United States, very, very large settlements are being awarded to ex-members who persist in courts. We're talking about tens and tens of millions of dollars, and at which point, whenever Scientology loses, they promptly bankrupt the relevant organisation and say, oh, we can't pay because we're poor. Although they have declared, it's anyone's guess whether it's true, they declared, I believe, $400 million to the Internal Revenue Service in the United States.
Well, let me ask you, what draws the line for you between what the Church of Scientology does and certain groups of evangelical Christians that also demand contributions from members and can drive some of them into bankruptcy or poverty as well?
Well, there is a long list, or a short list actually, 5 to 10 points that distinguish a religion from a religious cult, or a sect, if you like, in the French usage. And what Scientology does is it applies the writings of the founder, L. Ron Hubbard, to extract as much money as possible. And these are the religious scriptures, that it's not an accessory, it is the ends. It's not the means to an end. It's in an evangelical organisation will encourage you to donate. But in Scientology, there is a price list. And their insistence, incidentally, that you can get a refund, it's only partially true, but a refund surely is only for when you're engaging in a commercial transaction.
Okay. Jacques, are prosecutors in this trial in the right here? Is this a step that France needed to take against this sect?
First of all, I would say we don't define what is a sect in French law, and we don't define what is a religion, because from a political point of view, from a legislative point of view, I can't do it, because in fact I don't know how to do it, because there are many religions in the world. What we are trying to avoid in those cases is that any organizations which pretends to be a religion but is stepping over the red line, and I would say is trying, as it has been said, trying to get more money than it can by selling so-called lessons, teaching, kind of things, pretending that it will save your soul and that you will be much better afterwards, then we know that it is in many cases robbery and breach of law. So what we are aiming at is not to judge the organization as such to be or not a sect, but it's only that we see that this organization is permanently breaking the law and making crimes.
Okay, but Jacques, all religions, in one form or another, claim to save the soul.
Right. This is I don't bother about it. If you are a group and you are praying under the oak, at moon time, at 12 p.m., and that you say, we are praying the oak, we are praying the moon, you can do it.
Okay.
But if you say, I am praying under the oak, I am praying the moon, and I forbid you to send your kids to school, then you are breaching the law. You see the difference?
Rick Ross, I believe you were trying to interject with a comment there, if I'm not mistaken. Go ahead.
Well, I think what the focus has been is on behavior rather than belief. And what I hear the other guests clearly stating is that it isn't a question of what Scientology believes, its doctrines or religious faith, but rather how it behaves. And the pattern of complaints that I've received across the United States and from Europe are very similar to the issues that are now being addressed in the French courts, which is that people have been, as has been stated in the court case in France, exploited financially. And more than that, there has been emotional and psychological damage and even death as a result of involvement in Scientology. There was the Lisa McPherson case in the United States, which was settled. A young woman died while under their care. And another case of Lawrence Wallersheim, who said he was literally driven crazy by the church, which finally paid him $8 million.